Hello and welcome to Transformation Now, which is a division of SoaringHigher.rocks. We're so happy to have you here today to join us. And my focus is life and career transforming programs that you can start using immediately and ones that will last a lifetime. Hi, I'm Rita Rocker Kraft, and as a speaker, international author, and trainer, my heart is really to help people on self-esteem, communication skills, professional image, and career development. So we welcome you here today. And I have such an honor to introduce to you Cheryl Wisinski. I'm going to have to read her bio because it's so awesome. And she is going to be with us today, sharing an amazing amount of information. You know, Cheryl is a doctor of physical therapy. She's board certified in women's health with over 30 years of practice. She started her practice right out of medical school, which in itself is extremely awesome. She has a doctor of physical therapy with a medical magna cum laude. So Cheryl specializes in women's health as well as men and children. Her practice includes working with pain in the back, shoulders, body, and basically as a whole for whole wellness. And you'll be amazed at the things that a physical therapist, especially someone like Cheryl, does that I had no idea how they can benefit you. And this includes lower abdominal issues, prenatal, postpartum, osteoporosis, breast cancer, reconstruction patients, female athletes, and so I'm going to let her talk about that right now. Welcome.
Thank you, Rita, for having me on your program today. I feel strongly about educating my patients about the anatomy and physiology of their body in order for them to understand why I'm asking them to go home and work so diligently on all of their exercises. I like to look at all of my patients as a whole, and I think that it's important to address wellness. And if you come in to see me for bladder incontinence or constipation, or some other pelvic floor issue, we're also going to talk about weight control, general exercise, diet, maybe osteoporosis prevention, and any other medical issues that we need to address to help you be as healthy as you can.
And that is absolutely amazing. I mean, probably most of us don't realize what all a physical therapist like Cheryl with a doctor's degree can actually do for you to improve your body, therefore improving your life. And so she has an awesome story, and my first question is about growing up years, because a lot of times people who maybe had a big family didn't have the things that some other people have would be not as motivated. But tell us a little bit about your growing up years.
Sure. I grew up in a family of 8 children, and we were military. And we were very financially poor. However, we were very wealthy in love and happiness, and I have wonderful childhood memories. As I said, we went to the Goodwill to get our clothing and didn't have much money, and knew that we wouldn't have money for school tuitions in the future, looking ahead. My mother taught me a wonderful lesson in community service, and to this day, every day, she services the community and volunteers for churches and schools and her neighbors, and tried to instill that in all of us children. And both of my parents would often preach to us how important it was to study and get good grades so we could get scholarships someday. And they taught us that you only get out of things what you put into them, and that the best things in life only come with a lot of hard work and effort.
Wow. And that is so true. And I'm so happy that you had that kind of an upbringing. And then you started telling me when we talked about your growing up years with your education involved and the things that you did even to be able to go to college. Share those with us, please.
Sure. When I was young, in around 6th grade or so, I started babysitting as much as I could and saved every penny that I made. I knew I wanted to go to a private high school, and my parents couldn't afford it. So I tried to save all of that money for 3 years babysitting to go towards my high school tuition. And then I proceeded to study hard and got a full ride scholarship to college from there, and it helped me achieve my goals as a physical therapist. Once I got out of school, as you said, I started my own practice, and mostly because I wanted to be able to provide a service to my patients that could be the best possible service I could give. And I didn't want to have some big corporation asking me to generate so much revenue per hour. I wanted it to be about the patient, not the money. So starting my own practice and allowing me to see people how I wanted to see them was my goal from day one. And building that practice into a success is based on my original thought that if you provide a good service, a nice, honest service to people, and you treat them well, and you get them well, and they like you, they'll come back and they'll send their friends and family and neighbors, and that's essentially how my practice has built through the years.
Wow. And that is so amazing. And that's one of the other things that I love is the fact that it's having a heart for your patient and going that way rather than being under, you know, kind of the restrictions that we see a lot in the medical field today.
Yes.
So, you know, people who have a heart like that are the kind of doctors that I would want to go to and then refer other people to that really have a heart to really help you. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. Now, she actually initiated board certification for physical therapists, which is awesome because before that, I believe there was no certification, correct?
Not for women's health specialty, correct.
Oh, okay. And so that is awesome. And then Cheryl actually earned in 2011 that certification for women's health. And so she has done a lot of educating and the necessary tools and information. Would you share that with us, please?
Absolutely. 30 years ago, when I became interested in working with women who had pelvic floor issues, I sought out the information and we didn't have much available in our country. So I had to look to Australia and Europe and other countries and talk to other therapists internationally to learn what I was supposed to be doing with these patients. And in that process, joining the section on women's health, which was only a couple hundred strong at that time on a national level, I got together with those therapists and we started developing educational programs and we started working on the 10-year process plus for this certification submission. And now we're over 3,000 members strong across the country and we have wonderful education programs offered all over the country for physical therapists and physical therapy assistants to learn how to work with prenatal postpartum patients and incontinence patients and pelvic floor pain. So it's been a wonderful journey for me to be able to be a part of such a constructive association.
So you really put a lot of work into that and actually initiated that certification process, which I'm so proud of that, right, from Omaha?
Yes.
And to be able to do that and to help women, because there again, for those of you ladies, especially that are out there, to know that all of these issues that maybe we never thought would be from a physical therapist, like all the female issues, actually, Dr. Wisinski can help you with that, which I didn't know. I always looked at physical therapy as a, you know, back, arm, leg, something like that. But she has an amazing practice to be able to help us to restore our bodies in so many other areas besides what I think a lot of us think of. And she'll explain to you too about just going directly to her because she can diagnose issues without having to go through the doctor's system that sometimes isn't the best. For 20 years, you've provided lectures to other physical therapists, doctors, and nurses. You want to tell us a little bit about that and how you're impacting them through, you know, the businesses, the courses, et cetera.
Sure. I've been teaching and lecturing for many years, both on the national level at our meetings, for physical therapy meetings, but also I speak at physicians' meetings, nursing association meetings, and I even offer to go to physicians' clinics and give them in-services and provide them with information on how we can treat their patients and what to expect after sending their patients to see us. I've felt passionately for years also about educating the public, and I think that consumers need to be aware of what's available for them out there. So for many years, I was a chair of a national public relations committee that met in Washington yearly and got to have a voice in how I thought we should spend our advertising dollars for public awareness in health. Yes. And I also have served for the last 30 years for the Nebraska chapter on their public relations committee and continue to do that, trying to get the word out as best we can to our general public.
Wow, that is fantastic. Yeah, so there's a lot of opportunities, resources that she can offer to our medical people. So I would really encourage you, those of you who really want to bring that into a medical practice, call her. Okay, she's also provided input into national published books for medical students and educating physical therapists, and so I'd like for you to share a little bit on that too.
Sure. I was recently provided the opportunity from a group of colon and rectal surgeons to help them write a chapter for a book they are publishing. Actually, it was published this past May and is now in print, and it is on the curriculum for the medical school programs for any residents who want to specialize in colon and rectal residencies. So all of those students will graduate with the knowledge of the one chapter that I got to help write in the book that addresses how physical therapy can help you with your pelvic floor issues, with your incontinence, with your constipation. And then it provides the physicians that are now newly graduating with information on how to find a physical therapist in their local area all across the country to send their patients to.
So if someone were to go into a doctor's office for just general things and they had those issues, then these residents turned doctors would actually know now
Yes.
that they can say, hey,
Yes.
you know.
So the new grads will finally have this information. It's a huge step, I think, for me in my quest to educate the public for all these years, to now have all these new graduating physicians have this knowledge at their fingertips.
Wow. Now, are you going into like medical schools then, right? And actually presenting a program to them on that?
We actually, most of the medical schools have the physical therapy departments present to them, which is wonderful.
Okay.
And then I also teach on occasion at the Med Center and at Creighton to the physical therapy students, specifically on pelvic health.
Excellent.
Yep.
Excellent. Wow, isn't that amazing? I mean, all the areas that we normally don't think of that she can help provide for people. I know you've been an active board member and a committee chair for the American Physical Therapists Association and the Nebraska Physical Therapists Association, active PR committee, member of foundation board for 30 years. Would you just take, a few minutes, several minutes
Sure.
you can, talk about what you're doing with all of that, because it's pretty amazing.
Well, for the last 30 years, I've been consistently active with both the Nebraska chapter of the Physical Therapy Association and our national chapter and the section, of course, on women's health. And I feel like I don't have any right to sit back and complain on how things are going or not going if I don't jump in and volunteer my time to make things go the way I want them to go. So I've felt passionate about providing my time and services to these groups through the years, and have served as the as a director on the board of directors on a national level, and again served on the Nebraska chapter on their public relations level. And I currently am a delegate, which is an elected position in Nebraska, and we send so many delegates to our National House of Delegates every year, and our responsibility is to vote on all the healthcare bills that come upon the floor and have a chance to have our voice heard. And it's a huge honor, and it takes a lot of my time, but again, I feel like it's worthwhile because I get a chance to have a say-so, and I think that's important. On a national level, I am active in the section on women's health, and I'm actually an elected position in the nominating committee. And this year, actually, next week, actually, I step up to being chair of that committee at our national meeting next week in Denver.
Well, that is awesome. So you're actually affecting things that are happening in our government for the
Yes.
benefit of us.
Yes, I'm trying.
All the people. That is absolutely awesome to take that much time and be that active. And like you said, it's kind of like, well, we can't complain if we're not going to get in there. And when we have a complaint, we need to go into the committee, the group, and actually have solutions in mind.
Yes.
Like you do. So you research, you study, you educate people in order to be able to do that. And thank you for affecting the things that are so valuable to us in our health by all the work you're doing and all the research and the programs and the education that you're providing. That is very awesome. And then also you've received numerous prestigious awards, and I'm very proud of you, and just go ahead and share with us about the awards.
I've received actually so many awards in the last 30 years, which always just surprises and honors me. A couple of the national awards that I received were from the National Association of Continence, and one of them was the National Continence Care Champion.
Whoa.
of the country.
Wow.
That was quite a surprise. And another award I received on a national level was the Physical Therapy Assistant Team Award. So we were voted the best team to work with our patients in the whole country, myself and my practicing PT assistant. That was a very nice honor.
Yes.
And in the state of Nebraska, one of my greatest honors has been receiving the Mary Ellen Sacksetter Award, and that is the highest honor a physical therapist can receive in Nebraska.
Oh my.
So I'm flattered that my colleagues have such faith in me and are proud of what I'm doing.
Well, congratulations. I'm sure proud
Yes,
of you.
thank you.
Oh my
Thank
gosh, that is a lot. Now, we talked a little bit too about questions and tests to determine, because again, it's not like everyone she sees by any means has been referred to her by a doctor. I mean, so many people are coming in there, they have a problem. Once they're aware that she can actually cover things like pelvic floor incontinence, breast reconstruction, and domestic violence, which we'll talk about later, and all of that. But she actually, many times, someone will come in fresh, and with all of her questions and her knowledge and ability, is able to diagnose what's going on and treat them. And I think that's powerful. That's something I hadn't been so much aware of before. And so would you just kind of tell us about that? People come in just right over to you and how you go about diagnosing a situation.
Sure. And so I feel it's my responsibility, and most therapists would agree with this, to make sure that we know what we're working with. So we do differential diagnosing, we do tests and measures, ask lots of questions, and try to rule in and rule out what we think may be a source of their problem. For example, if you have hip pain, it could be that you have muscular imbalances around your hip, which a physical therapist could help you with. But it also could be that you have severe arthritis within the hip joint, or it could be you have referred pain from your spine. And so, you know, looking at all these different things or potential causes of your pain is important to, again, rule in, rule out, look at the whole picture of what could be contributing, and then be able to address it, whether I can address it as a therapist and or whether I need to refer you on for further tests.
And I'm just kind of curious, having had many MRIs and stuff, do you do x-rays and MRIs and those things there, or order those?
I don't. I don't.
Okay.
But I work closely with everyone's physicians, and then they can order them for them
So
if
work
needed.
together with it as a
Absolutely.
team, which
Yes,
is awesome.
absolutely.
Absolutely awesome. One of the things I liked that you said was practice what you preach when you're training physical therapists. I love that. Do you want to tell me how you kind of do that?
Well, actually, on a personal level, I feel like I should practice what I preach, and so I try to work out every day. I've got the watch telling me to do so. And I try to eat healthy. I grow all my own vegetables in summer, and we have our own chickens, and every year we try to do one more thing to improve our diet. And again, I'm trying to look at all of my patients as a whole body, not just a shoulder injury or a bladder incontinence, but looking at it being sort of a one-stop body shop, in that we need to address their health as a whole. And 6 to 8 months later, I hope they can be as healthy as possible after they start out with me.
Okay, so it's like, okay, physical therapist, you need to practice what you preach.
Yes.
And be a good example.
Yes.
To the patients, which is awesome. Now, we talked a little bit about community involvement. I can mention a few things quickly, and then you can go for it. Free monthly classes. Tell us about that one.
Well, a lot of our patients can't afford to come in as a patient. They either have really high deductibles or just poor health care. So we started offering free classes for those in need, and they can come once a month and learn as much as possible in an hour about exercises they can do to help strengthen their pelvic floor. So that's been a big hit over the last few years.
I bet. And it is with the amount of insurance and, like you said, the deductibles and just the cost of everything nowadays.
Yes.
So many people I know have to be very grateful to you to help them and not go, hey, money, show me the money. Clinic participation for breast cancer support. Do you want to tell our viewers about that?
Sure. We see a lot of breast cancer patients after they have reconstruction or mastectomy surgeries, and work closely with breast cancer support groups, participate in fundraisers, and again, try to have part of our community service be to help these women going through their cancer journeys.
And that's powerful, and I wouldn't have really expected that either, you know, in that practice, but how awesome. And so if you know people who are really struggling through that, I would highly recommend they contact her office, and we'll give you that information in a minute, because that can really make a huge difference in someone's quality of life, for sure. Now, another thing that's near and dear to me is domestic violence, because I've been through that myself. And between discovering that and then the Christmas program, would you talk to our viewers about that, please?
Through the years, I've found many of the women that I see have been victims of domestic violence, and part of the Women's Health Certification is a lot of training in how to work with these patients. Mm-hmm. And so I developed a passion through the years for these women, and because of this, started working closely with the safe haven houses in Omaha, mm-hmm. who protect women and children who are on the run and give them an anonymous private place to stay. And they provide them with used clothing and toys and things that they need, but none of it's new. So on Christmas morning, mm-hmm. we wanted to provide all those women and children with a gift of their own. Wow. That was something new for them under the tree. So every year, for 10 years plus, we've done these fundraising drives mm-hmm. for this purpose. Our patients bring in things, the community brings in things, and everybody donates for a really good cause.
You know, and I just think that's absolutely wonderful. I mean, who would have thought you can go in maybe because you have a health problem, a pain, and then discovering the reason why a lot of times is domestic violence. And so, yes. Again, for viewers, if you know people like that, you're experiencing mm-hmm. that, I would very much encourage you to get a hold of Dr. Wisinski, because this is just a critical issue. And even getting involved, if you want to get involved with the Christmas presents, anything like that, again, they would be very happy to work with you on that. And I told her I want to work with her on that for Christmas in any way I can too.
We'll take your help.
It's huge. It's so important. And another question here before we wrap up is, you encourage students, interns to do community service. What do you tell them? How do you get them involved in a community service project?
Well, we have student interns throughout the year for both physical therapy and physical therapy assistant schools, and I require them to do a community service of some type as part of their rotation with me before mm-hmm. I check them off and tell them they're done and give them credit. So again, I think it's important to instill that message with the students and my staff mm-hmm. to give to their community.
Excellent, excellent. And that is so important. You know, we get out of ourselves and we help other people yep. because of what we've learned and what we know, and we pass that along. And you told me about one greatest reward, impact on a patient. Do you want to mention that one?
Well, my greatest reward is always my impact on my patients. And that's why when I hear people say that they have to go to work tomorrow, I mm-hmm. think, you know, I don't ever have to go to work. I love going to work. I want to go there every day because mm-hmm. it's so rewarding to help these people. You know, women will come in that have intercourse pain and can't get pregnant, and I'll see them 6 months later and they're pregnant. And that's so rewarding to me to make such a positive impact on women's lives.
Yes. And it's so amazing that again, the things that we can get the benefits from physical mm-hmm. therapy that most of us probably never thought about. She has several informational sources that we're going to wrap up our program with, and you can take a few minutes for that. And so what I'd like for you to do is just to tell us about these ones that are written here and about how those can help other people that are watching.
Yes, we have a webpage, midwestpts.com, and if you go to that, there's tabs on what we treat, and it's a very good explanation on what to expect if you come in to see a physical therapist. We have a community service tab that outlines what we're doing in our community. We have a PT locator tab that helps you locate physical therapists in your area. So I think our webpage is very informative and would invite you to visit that. Contact us if you have questions about your problems. We would love to talk to you and help you in any way we can.
Okay, so again, and just wrapping up, the webpage is www.midwestpts.com. They also have YouTube videos. Is that under the same name?
Yes, it's under the same webpage.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so watching those alone would be fantastic to gain more information. The website is Community Midwest PT. She also is a Heartland volunteer,
Yeah.
correct? And that's where they're helping the women and the children. And that is a very, very worthy organization. So you can contact them directly or contact her office. National FINA PT contact information again. And she also writes a yearly article for Women's Edition magazine. And so I just want to thank you for all of these. Is there any last comment, encouragement that you would like to give them?
I would just encourage women who are trying to be professional business women to try to, as they juggle the hats of being a mom and a wife, and I have to thank my kids and husband for being so supportive to me through the years, but to remember to make themselves happy, and that's hard to find that time for yourself when you're juggling so many hats. But I think it's important to do some things that you want to do and be truly happy so that you can help others and make them happy.
Okay, awesome. So it's Dr. Cheryl Wisinski, and you want to tell them how to contact you?
Yes, again, the best way to contact me is on the webpage, midwestpts.com.
Okay, and we will have that on the link and on the broadcast, and so you can check it out again from there. So again, we thank you so much. Thank you for being here today, all the information you've given, what you've given to the community and the world and people and their health and being restored, and also encouraging people, hey, if you're poor, if you're whatever, you study, you work at it, you give back to the community, and you reap abundance. So
Absolutely.
Thank you so
too.
much. So stay tuned for the next program when I'm going to be talking about writing a new chapter for your life. So thank you so much. God bless. We'll see you again.